I just landed on the overnight flight from Miami and PMQs started at midday, and I assumed that what Keir Starmer would do is go on the Lee Anderson story. Why? Because that splits the party opposite. Some members of Parliament for the Conservatives think he went way too far. Others think his suspension is ridiculous and electorally bad news. But no, he didn't do that. He wanted, for some reason, to talk about me. Have a look.
He also claimed, Mr. Speaker, that Nigel Farage is the man to restore the Tory party. Can the Prime Minister confirm whether he too would welcome Mr. Farage back into the Tory fold?
Mr. Speaker, in our party, we have a proud tradition of diversity and accepting everyone from every background. Indeed, it is a proud record that puts Labour to shame, Mr. Speaker.
So this diverse Tory party does welcome Nigel Farage. The Prime Minister two months ago, the Prime Minister said the Tory party is a broad church. I welcome lots of people who want to subscribe to our ideals and our values. This is the same Nigel Farage who said he agreed with the basic premise of Enoch Powell's Rivers of Blood speech and bemoaned the influence of the Jewish lobby. So is the Prime Minister simply too scared to stand up to the gaggle of Tory MPs who moonlight as GB presenters, or does he genuinely think Nigel Farage shares the ideals and values of the Tory party?
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. I think somebody might be slightly worried. You see, here's the point. Back in 2015, actually Labour benefited hugely from UKIP taking Tory votes. But from thereafter, actually, we were really hurting Labour, hurting them in a really big way. And of course, Brexit. 4 million Labour voters voted Brexit. Yes, the very same Brexit that you, Mr. Starmer, wanted to overturn and force us into a second referendum. And here's the point. When he says, I agree with the basic premise of Enoch Powell's Rivers of Blood speech, well, the basic premise was that uncontrolled mass immigration would lead to divided societies in our cities that became unrecognisable and that could lead to conflict. Well, have a look at what happened with the intimidation of members of Parliament last week. And have a look at the fact, Sir Keir, that there are many parts of our major cities in England that are now frankly unrecognisable, and millions of your voters know that. And to say that I bemoan the influence of the Jewish lobby, no, quite the reverse. I said the Jewish community in North America had been massively successful in law, in business, and yes, they did campaign for what they wanted. They did it within the law. They did it quite successfully, but I was never a subscriber to the madcap conspiracy theory that the Jews run the world. But I tell you who was. Yes, Jeremy Corbyn, the Labour leader that you supported. Yes, Jeremy Corbyn. And you went to a conference, Sir Keir, where there was a Palestinian flag on the chair of every Labour MP. And you and your own party, some sitting in the House of Commons, some prospective parliamentary candidates who basically don't want Israel to exist. I tell you what, if you want to have a fight with me over anti-Semitism, any day of the week. Now, moving on to the really big story of the day. £31 million has been approved to up the security of members of Parliament. Is this the right thing to do? Well, regular viewers to this show will know I've been predicting for a very long time that MPs would soon start to understand what my life was like for over a decade. If I'd not had chauffeur-driven cars, if I'd not had close personal protection, I very much doubt I'd be sitting here talking to you now. That's how vile and vicious and frankly dangerous it was when I was leading UKIP. Now some of these chickens are coming home to roost for members of Parliament. But a lot of GB News viewers are saying, hang on, we shouldn't spend any more money on these people because, after all, it's they themselves, through supporting irresponsible immigration policies, that have led to the danger on our streets. Got to tell you, folks, for once, I'm not with the majority of GB News viewers. I think unless we do more to protect our members of Parliament, there are going to be more disasters ahead. And unless we know that becoming an MP, is a relatively, yes, of course, you accept brickbats, but is a relatively safe thing to do, we will put off the kind of good, brave people that we need to stand for Parliament, to get into Parliament, to turn this mess around. So you tell me, I'm expecting a flurry of disagreements. Do MPs need more protection? Farage@gbnews.com.